Most people don't know what's holding them back, but you do because you listen to me, Sam, your self-care guru and journal junkie. Welcome to Journal Entries, your safe place where you can tune in weekly to get tips, tricks, and journal prompts to uncover your feelings, gain clarity, and make your move. Today, we have a very special guest on the episode. We have Chelon Lockert. She is a self-love queen passionista and emotional energy alchemist. She's a speaker and an author with 22 years experience of empowering women. She's certified in SRT, which is subconscious release technique clearing. It's super cool. We'll dig all into that in a little bit. Chelon is a highly experienced self-love coach who helps inspire women and empower them to navigate through their feelings and move past their limiting beliefs so that they can feel more confident in their lives and start embodying their divine queen power. She believes in the power of women gathering and finding their tribe and is passionate about creating community with her online coaching program, the Self-Love Queen Academy. Chelon is the author of the ebook, The HeartBreak Handbook, a step-by-step guide to healing from past relationships so that you can build and grow a stronger relationship with yourself, resulting in more authentically aligned relationships. On today's episode, we talk about emotions, limiting beliefs, clearing all the BS, and so much more. So let's dig in. Welcome, Chelon. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited that you are here speaking with us. I think I told you at least once before that I found you on Instagram. Have I told you this story?
I think a little bit, but
yeah.
Share again.
Well, I found you on Instagram. I think I was searching for like a single mother's hashtag or something, and one of your support groups popped up. But then I went to your page and I was like, you are a vibe. You have like just this energy about you. And since then we've, collaborated and whatnot, but I've just loved everything about you. And you're so different from a lot of people on social media, at least that I follow. And so I thought this would be a really great opportunity to introduce you to my listeners and get them to experience your magic as well.
Well, thank you. I actually super appreciate that you feel that I like stood out to you. And I was like super grateful for you to just like reach out and join the group that I had at that time, and just to be able to collaborate with you on these new things that we have decided to create.
So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started.
How I got started. So like I've been empowering women for many years as a hairstylist behind a chair. And I got started into more of the like coaching industry through my own healing journey. I was when I was younger, I was like bullied a lot in school and everything. And so I've always had like really low self-esteem and confidence and all of that. And so I decided I wanted to be a hairstylist. I wanted other women to feel good about themselves, right? I never wanted anybody to feel the way that I felt when I was younger and whatnot. And so I love trying different modalities. Like I really do. I feel like I want to try all the things and see how they feel and how they work and all of that kind of stuff, right? And so I stumbled across SRT clearing, which is what I am certified in now. It's subconscious release technique, and it deals with clearing the emotions and limiting beliefs that we have stored in our subconscious, right? And we receive these emotions and limiting beliefs from things that happened to us in our childhood and everything, right? And so on my healing journey, my coach that I was working with actually said, like, I think you should get certified in this, right? And so that's how I ended up like, deciding to go into this coaching industry. But I really realized after, being in the industry for a couple of years, I'm like, I've actually been doing this my whole life as a hairstylist. We have a chair, right? They kind of just go hand in hand. And so I have my two beautiful daughters, and they really just inspire me to become a better person in general, right? Because I never wanted them to feel the way that I felt growing up, and I wanted them to be confident in themselves and to be able to show up authentically as they are, right? And to not worry about what other people have to say or whatever else, right? And so that's why I just like, as myself, I feel like I need to be that person to show them that. And so that's why I guess like with my social media and everything, I'm just like, I'm putting it out there. And, I want to like inspire other women to do the same and just like show up. It's it's your life. It's your social media. You just like, I'm always like, if you don't like it, just keep scrolling. That's just how I feel. I'm like, if somebody doesn't like it, they can just keep scrolling and that's fine. Right. But so
Exactly.
yeah, that's basically how I decided to like dive into the coaching industry and everything as well, and have just come to discover that they go hand in hand, and I'm really wanting to bring like more aspects of that into the hair industry and whatnot now too. So
I do picture whenever I sit in the hairstylist chair, I actually have a hair appointment in 2 days. And I'm like, that is always a time where you sit down
yeah.
and the hairstylist usually does ask you, like, what's going on? That's just all about your life. And it can be a time where you just like
Mhm.
share everything. And like
Yeah.
your hairstylist is one of the people that can know a lot about you. And it can be a vulnerable experience.
Because we're like so hands on with our clients and stuff, I think then they feel more comfortable to like open up to us as well, right? And like we're with clients in so many like amazing things in their life. Like we're with them with their on their grad day, some of them, right? We're with them for well, some of them their first haircuts. Like I've had clients, I've done their first haircuts, and I hate to even admit this because it's like they'll tell you how long I've been doing hair for, but they're like graduated now. Do you know what I mean? And so like that's a pretty important thing, right? And like their wedding day, and like just going through things like losing people, losing pets, and so you're just that space holder for them a lot, right? And I have so many clients that just like walk into my house and they're just like, they're just like, I am so glad I'm here, right? Some of them are just like, I just need to give you up, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like, it's really special to me to be able to have that experience with them and be that person for them as well. So,
Mm,
mhm.
yeah. I feel like I've had a lot of emotions, and a few of them I've been able to identify like a belief behind them through journaling, but a lot of them, it just almost feels like it's an emotion. It's just a feeling that I have, and it's not tied to a belief. So, what I don't know what the better question is. Like, what is the process that you take people through? Or maybe when people do come to you in coaching, what kind of feelings and emotions do they have?
Like everything. Absolutely everything. And we like to like label the emotion that's coming up lots and discover if that is actually like the underlying emotions with everything, right? Because like lots of times, if people are struggling with like being angry or frustrated or whatever, like that's not actually like the underlying emotion, right? Like there's something deeper going on there. And we go back into like childhood all the time. Like we do lots of inner child healing because that's where we've first experienced those emotions, right? Or haven't even learned how to like work through those emotions in general. Like when I was growing up, like we didn't talk about our feelings a lot. We didn't know how to process them, right? And so we go back into childhood, and I asked them, I was like, where was the first experience that you can remember where you felt this way? And lots of the times they think of something and they're like, oh, this is really weird. Like, I don't even know why this came up, right? Kind of thing. And I'm like, no, we just go with it. Like, if that's what came to mind, like, that's your subconscious being like, here it is, right? And I like walked them through it, and I was like, well, what was going on and what was happening, and like if there's another person involved, I'm like, what did they say to you, what went through your mind, right? And like I'm writing things down while they're telling me, and then I muscle test, like I tap into your energy and I like muscle test what is needing to be cleared, and then we go through like a list of emotions that are actually tapped or like tagged with that or whatever, and then we clear those emotions out of your subconscious so that you don't continuously have the same reaction over and over and over again, right? And so and then we're able to create like new more positive like belief systems in you as well, right? So that's kind of how it goes. It can get very in depth, and like I don't necessarily, depending on how much we're clearing, I don't necessarily do the whole like emotions list. Sometimes I call it like speed clearing. But it kind of depends on how deeply rooted it is as well. Sometimes I do want to go through the whole list and everything. So everybody's that's the one thing with everybody's sessions is it's always different. Like it's never the same. It's always different. So I appreciate that because um I tend to like to have a lot of duality, or not duality, but like just I don't like doing the same thing all day every day. I guess
Yeah.
is my point. Repetition. I
Yeah.
I don't do well with repetition. So
I feel too like even if people come to you with the same emotion, it's a different reason behind it. And then and that's a
because
completely
it's a
different
different
story.
experience, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. Or even just the things that like the experiences that led to having that emotion and everything too, right? So yeah, it's very very interesting for sure. Yeah.
I actually like that you go through the list of feelings because I've spoken a lot about how there was a time where I didn't know how I felt. I was just like happy or sad, you know? And so
Hmm.
hearing like a list, I feel like that would be really helpful to be like, oh yeah, I guess I did feel a little bit of, I don't know, jealousy or like all these like different types of emotions that you can have.
Yeah.
Because when you're so far removed, it's really hard to, understand them or know what they are.
Hmm. And it's funny because like I'll go through because I'm like tapping into your energy and I'm muscle testing. And so I'll go through the list. And when I'm done doing the clearing, people will be like, okay, now I see, like, I didn't realize that was the emotion, but now I see that it was, right? And why it was, and whatever else. And lots of time, like, when I'm working through my coaching with my clients and everything, I'm asking them a lot of questions and allowing them to process through things. I like to say that I'm like, I have the flashlight and I'm just kind of like showing them the path, right? For them to come to that aha moment, because I feel like there is that process that I want them to learn to work through as well, right? Like, and just keeping, and it's like when you're talking to, or when your toddler is continually asking you, but why, mom, but why, but why, but why, right? And it's like getting to the root of that why, right? And as opposed to like the surface layer, right? Yeah, which I think is like also very important because like I said, we were not taught to feel through our emotions. We were not, it was just like lots of times I can remember just being like, oh, my emotions were dismissed, like, oh, you're fine, you're fine, right? And it's like, well, I'm not fine. I don't feel fine, but I guess I'm supposed to be fine, right?
Right. Yeah. Do you
So,
have any tips or suggestions on how people can start to become more aware, friendly with how they're feeling?
well, first of all, I said, like, we acknowledge how we're feeling in that moment, right? Like if you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed or whatever, right? And then I am like to just allow yourself to feel that. And then like ask yourself like what is really going on here? Right? Like am I reacting because like maybe I'm just really tired right now. Like that could be as simple as that. Like what do I actually need in this moment right now, right? And evaluating that, and then, you know, thinking back to, you know, where is this coming from really? Like where is this actually coming from? You know, is it because like in the past I've never felt acknowledged? Is it because in the past like nobody ever listened to me and I never felt heard, right? So I feel like I need to be more forceful in what I and how I'm approaching things. Do you know what I mean? As
Mhm.
opposed to you know, just actually saying how you're feeling,
Mhm.
right? Um, I don't know. Lots of what's coming to me right now is like, we don't talk about that, right? Like, and I think it was like that in a lot of households growing up is like, we don't talk about that. It just gets like pushed under the rug, right? Until it's like exploding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not good for anything, right? Like, um, I think in lots of households growing up, there was like a lot of yelling. Like I know when I was when my kids were younger, I like would be yelling at them, and I'm like, why am I even like, why am I? Because they wouldn't listen to me, right? Like we've been there with as moms, like all the time. It's like you ask and you ask and you ask until you're just like at that peak, and then you're like yelling, and your kids are like, well, why are you yelling, mom? Like, what is your problem, right? And it's you know, when I was able to take that step back, because like and explain to them instead of just being reactive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, then you get a better response from them as well, right? Because I feel like otherwise the cycle just like continues, right? Because they don't know how to process their emotions either, right? They see
Mhm.
you yelling, then they just think that that's how they're supposed to react as well to everything, right? And
Yeah.
so that's, yeah, I
And
don't
it
know why I decided to like
so relatable. So relatable.
I think that's why, right?
Yes.
Oh.
I wrote that down. I like to give journal prompts for my listeners. And I wrote that down as one. Like, when was the first time that you felt and then enter emotion? Because that gets you to think
Mhm,
back. Like, it's not just that I'm yelling at my kids or, you know, it's this emotion that I'm feeling, but when was the first time that you can currently remember
mhm,
that?
mhm.
I feel like that can be like open up a can of worms,
Oh,
that would be really interesting to dive into. And then you said that you do clearing. So,
mhm.
I have experienced your clearings a little
Yes.
bit, but before I've experienced them, I really didn't know what it was. So for somebody that hasn't experienced it or really knows what it is, could you describe like the process and like what you do and what it is?
Well, we go down the rabbit hole of where did this come from, right? And we want to get to the root of it, because when we can clear it at the root, then it like clears everything else as well, right? And that's why we go back into like a lot of childhood memories and childhood healing and all of that kind of stuff, right? And it's all things that are stored in our subconscious, right? These emotions, these reactions, like our emotions become stored in our body actually. So another thing that I like to do is if somebody is having like some aches and pains and stuff, I go to my book. I've, I know this book inside and out almost now. So it's the Louise Hay You Can Heal Your Life. And in it has like the emotions, and then it has like the beliefs that are tapped, like associated with the emotions, or not the emotions, the body parts. And then there's like the emotions and the beliefs and all that kind of stuff, right? So I kind of have an idea of where we need to go with that, because we do store our emotions in our bodies, right? Like you probably know for yourself, like you do a lot with working out and everything, right? That like emotions are energy in motion, right? And
Mhm.
so when it becomes stored in the body, it becomes stagnant and it creates other problems, right? And so we um want to clear those emotions out of the body so that we don't have those aches and pains and stagnancy and everything as well, right? But the process for both in clearing is the same. We have our clearing statements, and it's very meditative, right? And it's basically like um breath work is what it is, right? And we are clearing out the emotions from the body. We are clearing out the limiting beliefs from the subconscious. Um, I, get you more, like, I guide you more into a meditative state, and I give you your clearing statement. I'll direct you to take a deep breath in and hold. I give you your clearing statement, and you can either like repeat it out loud, say it over in your mind to yourself, or just let it resonate. Like I always say, whatever feels best for you. And then I'll direct you to release the breath. And we do that. And then we refill your subconscious with like powerful affirmations, is how that works usually. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. It's so
It's like,
relaxing.
it is. And I'm like, that probably sounded more complicated than it actually is. But
Yeah, being on the receiving end is very relaxing, and just like you feel so good afterwards. And
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm,
it's an experience for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love, like, when I'm working through my sessions with my clients and stuff too, sometimes after we're done the clearing, I'll ask them if there's like anything else that came up with that when we were doing the clearing, because sometimes it'll like trigger other things or other memories, and people will be like, that's really weird. Like, I don't know why I thought about this, right? And then that kind of leads us down another path as to where, because that's coming to the forefront to be addressed, to be cleared, right? And
Mhm.
so it's very interesting. And I love, like, lots of my clients, sometimes they have like visuals and stuff. And so I always love to hear about their experiences as well after.
I mentioned in the very beginning that you and I have collaborated. And so, just for our listeners, we just recently, at the time of this recording, collaborated on an event. And at the end of the collaboration that we did, which was a 1 day event, we created something called Creating Calm. And so it was a two-part mini course, as we're calling it, where there
Mm.
is 6 days of journaling, and I prompt you through journal entries that get you to ideally become calmer with identifying what's going on in your life and how you want to feel, releasing everything that is going on through, pen to paper. But then Shalon has 6 days worth of these clearings. Do you remember like what they were for each day, or the different topics that you
Um,
had?
Probably not in order, but it was like feeling frustrated, feeling irritated, feeling overwhelmed, being acknowledged, being um appreciated, I think was the other one, and then releasing control, right? Because I think as moms especially, like, we have that whole control factor, right? Trying to keep everything together all the time. And so it's just about releasing the emotions in regards to all of those things, so that you can operate from a neutral um space, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, and you're not reactive with your kids.
All about the kids.
like like we tend to be sometimes as parents. It's not just for parents, it's for, like, it really, anybody would benefit from it,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, just in our day lives, just dealing with, like, in your job, like maybe just dealing with like other people you work with, or do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Coworkers
yeah.
is the first people that popped in my mind. I'm like, I used to be in the corporate world, and coworkers
Mhm.
was a trip. Or like spouses, the clearings and journaling together is just gets you to be in that neutral place, like you
Yeah.
said, where you can
Yes.
be aware of how you're feeling, ideally in the moment, but even not, just like self-awareness, so that you're operating from that place, and you can ask yourself how you feel about that situation that's happening at
Mhm.
work, in your relationship with your kids, with yourself. Like, even if you're out in the grocery store and you're feeling like, I can't make a decision of what cereal to pick, like, wow, like that's happened to me before. And I'm like, okay, deep breath. And, that I feel like that's where it's helped me, is just calming down to then operate from that neutral place. I've never thought of it of like neutral, but that's really what
neutral.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's actually like, and that's why I designed the meditations so that like they're 3 to 4 minutes, like they're super quick, right? Because we don't give ourselves the time to just be, to just come back to ourselves. Like our energy is like everywhere all the time. We're thinking, we have lists, we have tasks, we have this, we have that, we have deadlines, we have blah, 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 blah all the time. Right. And so it's about like calling back that energy as well and coming back to yourself, because when we are able to just like focus is when we're actually more efficient and more effective, right? As opposed to just being like all over the place constantly. And so it's important. I actually, I was doing, I'm not as much anymore. Like summer always throws me for a loop. Like, so I'm like, okay, we're back to, school starting. We need to get back to some more structure. Right. But, like with my mindful Mondays and stuff, like I really, promote taking time throughout your day. Like even if you have to set an alarm on your phone for every couple hours to just like take a break, like whether it be the 3 to 4 minutes to listen to the meditation or just like the 30 seconds to 1 minute to just sit and feel into your body and just like focus on your breath. Like that is the biggest thing. And just like coming back to yourself, right? um and it actually will help to just like calm you down and feel like even energized after as well, because you're just like all your energy is back in your body as opposed to like everywhere.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a really good way to describe it. Energized internally almost.
Hmm.
So if
Yeah.
somebody is hearing all of this and wants to work with you one-on-one, how can they get a hold of you? And do you offer individual clearings like virtually?
Yes, I do. I do. I offer one-on-one packages, and those you can find me on Instagram as Chelon_self-love-queen, and I'm on Facebook as Chelon Lockert, as well as my website is I hope this inspires you .com. I was like,
I didn't know that was your website. I love
I
it.
hope this inspires you. Yes. Actually, I've gotten lots of compliments on that. I don't know why I decided to come up with, because I was like, that's basically what I want to do is just inspire people. So,
I love
mhm.
that. I will put all of that in the show notes so that people can
Perfect.
go to all of the places as well. And I'll
Perfect.
put the link for the Creating Calm in there as well if anyone wants to check that out.
Yes.
Shalom, thank you so much for being with us today and just sharing everything. I so appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. And thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's journal entry. I love connecting with my listeners, so make sure you screenshot this episode and tag me on Instagram at samantha.s.says so I know you're listening. And don't forget to grab your free training and journal prompts at www.samanthapenkoff.com/podcast.